In January of this year, a change in ownership turned Surf's Up Puppy Shack into Puppyland. Puppyland, as of today, has had no public parvo cases reported, but at least 12 puppies from Surf's Up Puppy Shack sold between October 2019 and January of 2020 were diagnosed with potentially lethal parvovirus days after going home to their new families. Frankie Catafaias is joining us live with more. Good morning, Frankie.
Good morning, Matt. Brian and Jessica Bishop were just one of several families heartbroken by their puppy's parvo diagnosis. After learning about other parvo puppies from Surf's Up, they were determined to hold someone accountable. So they consulted with a family friend who is also an attorney to learn what options they could pursue legally. We sat down with that attorney and even reached out to another attorney who specializes in animal law in Washington, Oregon, and Idaho for more information.
You know, there's nothing really from a criminal standpoint.
Matthew Williams has been an attorney for 20 years. He has experience primarily in criminal and contractual law. As a family friend of Brian and Jessica Bishop, he agreed to hear their story, review their contract with Surf's Up Puppy Shack, and determine whether or not there was a lawsuit worth pursuing.
Well, obviously, whenever there's a contract involved, the contract's going to dictate the relationship. And I know a lot of people just take a quick glance at them and don't really read them. But when you have a problem, that's when the contract comes into play. And certainly there was a problem here.
We reached out to Adam Karp, a lawyer who exclusively practices animal law in Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho. We asked him about Idaho's state codes surrounding animal welfare. One code in particular states it's illegal to, quote, negligently confine an animal in unsanitary conditions or to negligently house an animal in inadequate facilities, to negligently fail to provide sustenance, water, or shelter to an animal, end quote. Karp responded in part, the terms unsanitary and inadequate likely do not contemplate contracting contagious diseases, but rather dirty, cramped, unventilated, hazardous, or intemperate environments. The typical approach taken is to bring suit under the Uniform Commercial Code for breach of warranty and possibly the Idaho Consumer Protection Act 48-603. The lawyer the Bishops consulted with says given the evidence, the Bishops could have pursued a breach of contract lawsuit if they were able to prove the store owner knowingly sold them a sick puppy. But even if they could do that,
the problem is even if you win, you're left with probably a piece of paper that doesn't mean a whole lot as far as damages even.
Pursuing a case like this typically costs more than the restitution, and it doesn't stop the former owner from opening another business. Ultimately, the best way to avoid a situation like the Bishops is to do your research.
Your options are very limited as a consumer, and it goes down to pretty much buyer beware. I mean, you're buying a living thing, and so you really need to make sure that you're buying it from a reputable company, and unfortunately, I would say that in this case, it doesn't seem like the Bishops did.
Well, tonight at 6 on Your Side, we'll introduce you to Brian and Jessica Bishop, the family who bought their dog from Surf's Up Puppy Shack. They're telling us why seeking legal action is not about the money, it's about accountability. Matt, back to you.
For the past 5 months, 6 on Your Side has heard from former Surf's Up Puppy Shack customers who believe the former owner sold parvo-infected puppies. The owner of Surf's Up has since sold his business, and that person has turned Surf's Up into Puppyland. Frankie Catafaias has more.
As of today, Puppyland has had no confirmed parvo cases reported publicly, but customers of Surf's Up Puppy Shack are concerned with retail puppy store business practices. At least 12 puppies from Surf's Up Puppy Shack sold between October 2019 to January 2020 were diagnosed with parvovirus within days of going home to their new families. According to one family, the former owner of Surf's Up initially told them his shop hadn't been infected.
She started with having some diarrhea, and then during the middle of the night, she just was vomiting over and over and over and over again. So it really went from like her being normal puppy to just that sick, like
in a matter of hours. It was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
For several families who purchased puppies from Surf's Up Puppy Shack, the same scenario played out just days after bringing each new puppy home. The Bishops, like others, rushed their puppy to the vet.
And they tested her, and we didn't see her again for about 7 days.
Parvo. In just 4 days, the Bishop's tiny golden doodle was officially diagnosed with a potentially lethal infection.
Yeah, the test came out positive instantly.
Immediately, yeah.
Immediately, which is the quickest she had said that she'd even seen the parvovirus ever test positive.
The Bishop's veterinarian was so concerned by Molly's strong positive parvo test, she encouraged the Bishops to bring in their older dogs who have already received parvo vaccinations for an additional booster. Due to the severity of the situation, Jessica Bishop decided it was best to notify the former owner of Surf's Up immediately.
I wasn't calling him to get any kind of restitution at that point. I just wanted to make him aware that our dog had parvo and you need to know about it to check your other dogs.
Per Surf's Up Puppy Shack's health guarantee, the Bishops had two options: ask the former owner to cover a small portion of medical expenses or return the puppy they already loved.
I mean, even over 4 days. I mean, that's what they call puppy love. It's a puppy. You look at him, you fall in love.
The Bishops' vet bills reached over $4,000. The former owner of Surf's Up would only cover $100 in medications per the contract. After doing some research and learning that their puppy wasn't the first from this business to contract parvo, the Bishops decided to keep Molly and told the former owner to keep his money.
It's not about the money. I mean, the money's gone at this point. Whether I get it back or not makes zero difference in our lives. What makes a difference is that he go out and do this again.
Yeah.
Medical professionals can't say for certain whether or not puppies from Surf's Up contracted parvovirus at the retail location, but they can confirm that puppies with parvovirus came from multiple litters and occupied the same space at different times.
You can't do this. You can't operate a business like that. He sells an animal. He sells a life.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be part of someone's life.
Yeah.
So he needs to be responsible for it.
The Bishop's Golden Doodle Molly is happy and healthy, but not everyone was so lucky to come out of their ordeals with the same outcome. And that's why the Idaho Humane Society is taking action to protect others. I'm sitting down with the Humane Society to learn how the survey they issued could change city ordinances this year. Catch that story tomorrow morning. Back to you.
Our parvo puppy coverage continues this morning. Today we examine the gray areas surrounding state laws and city ordinances when it comes to animal welfare. The Idaho Humane Society decided to initiate a change in animal welfare at the city level. In December, they issued a survey asking people within the Treasure Valley to voice their opinions about several animal welfare topics, the main one being whether or not a city should ban the sale of a dog or cat in a retail setting.
Oftentimes people pay a lot of money for puppies and then they find out there's a lot of genetic problems, they have a lot of vet bills, or they'll just get a completely different dog than they originally thought they were going to get.
The Humane Society tells 6 on Your Side they've already seen an increase in surrenders in the Treasure Valley from animals that have been bought from pet stores, and they hope by implementing a ban they can reduce those numbers significantly. Ahead in our next hour, Frankie shares the results from the survey and learns what comes next.